Hi, I'm Irene Samuels and welcome back to another episode of Soul Stirring Astrology, where I give you my texture take on the world of astrology. Well, on March the 3rd, Venus goes retrograde in Aries and will be retrograde until the 13th of April. So for just over 5 weeks or so, we've got the inward journey with Venus shining her light on what it is that you value, love, and brings peace and harmony into your world. But if we take the image of Venus, it's the circle of spirit and the cross of matter. And so spirit is drawn down into form, which then shows itself in terms of the material things within our lives. And that's when Venus is going direct. Now that it's retrograde, it means that the image is inverted. So therefore, you've got the cross of matter, which is leading the spirit, which is the circle. And so what this means then is that you could be pulled towards really showing how materialistic you are, but what real value is placed upon that to the detriment of your spirit. Now, Venus is a feminine sign, and there are two feminine signs within the zodiac. We have the moon, which rules Cancer, and we have Venus, which rules Taurus as well as Libra. And so, although they are feminine signs, they are psychologically opposing each other. So on the one hand, we have moon, and moon is about belonging, being grounded, being connected to something, someone. It could be a man, a woman, feeling part of your family or a group or your employer or your local community or country or ancestry. There's a deep, deep sense and a deep need to feel connected and belonging to something, which is very central to your identity. Whereas Venus has no interest in the past or the future. It's really about being present to what's going on and paying attention to what it is that is truly valued. The moon, on the other hand, is very much about nurturing, but there's this trade-off that takes place. It's a case of you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. So for example, the moon can show up as nurturing, and it could be, cooking a wonderful meal or keeping a beautiful house or massaging or doing something that is showing someone else that you care in some way. But the trade-off is, and it might be explicit or implicit, that if I do these things for you, then you will give me emotional security. Where on the other hand, Venus has no interest in that. Venus has a clear sense of self-love and self-worth and is able to give of herself to any god or any hero because she chooses to, as opposed to giving of herself in a way to someone who needs or wants her. So there's a very clear distinction, whereas you've got Moon, which is very empathetic, and Venus, on the other hand, can be quite coarse and quite callous in terms of wanting what she wants and, to the exclusion of what other people want. And if you think about Aphrodite, who's a representation of Venus, you never see her pictured with a child or a baby. So that's about the distinction that's being drawn and this real sense of not bartering for love, because there's the recognition that she is the essence of love. And if there's anything in terms of this Venus going retrograde, it's about your understanding of the essence of love, particularly because Venus is in Aries. So Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and it's very much about I am. And we've got Venus, and so when Venus is direct, there's this sense of, who admires me for who I am? Aren't I beautiful? Aren't I wonderful? Aren't I a magnificent person? Now, when it's retrograde, as it's going to turn on March the 3rd, there's this sense of placing too much importance and aligning yourself too much in terms of what other people think of you and trying to fit in with what other people want of you. And so therefore it's at odds, because we have this sense of value, and it's in Aries, and Aries is a very definitive side. It's about self-initiation and leadership. And so if you're always looking to other people, it shows there are signs of insecurity. And so with this Venus retrograde, it's about how you begin to tackle the insecurities that lie underneath. And one of the ways that this shows itself is that you can become quite defensive if people are now challenging your way of doing things, or you're uncomfortable about revealing who you are. Now, Venus rules the second house, and when we think that the Sun currently is in Pisces, which would be the first house, Aries then follows in the second house, and it's the house that Venus rules. And so when Venus is direct, it's about the security that's created by the things that are valued. And Venus also rules Taurus, and it rules Libra. Now, in the Taurus, guys, it's about the physical, tangible things that bring emotional security. So it could be, you know, your home or your valued possessions, or it's money, or you're marrying into money as a way to anchor yourself in emotional security. And so what the Venus retrograde is going to reflect is about how possessive you are around your possessions. Because when you're dealing with a retrograde, there's this sense of karma and the past, and there's a sense that you're trying to align your current realities with reflections of what gave you emotional security in the past. But by doing so, it means that your spirit is dismissing the reality of the situation. So there's this tension here between living your life, because it's being driven by the material world because of the inverted nature of the retrograde, which means that your spirit is subordinate to matter. But if it's subordinate to matter, it means that you're not conscious of what your spirit actually requires. And the retrograde is going to give you an opportunity to explore the meaning of your life in terms of what it is that you value, but doing it consciously, where you turn the spotlight from the external world into your own internal world, this sense of intimacy, which could be looked at in another way of into me see, who lies within. And when you're going through, what you're looking for are these gems, these pearls of wisdom, which are attributes which equally can be valued beyond the materialism. Because if you're focusing always on the material things in life, there's a sense of you're just becoming habitual. You know, you've got this vision of what your material life looked like in the past, and you're trying to align your current life with that. So there's a sense that you're really possessive around your value systems or your things, but that means that you're not necessarily breaking free of yourself, where you can truly begin to value yourself beyond the tangible, valuable things. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but it's about the nuances that exist within this retrograde season. Now, the Venus retrograde is taking place alongside Pluto. So there's a square that's taking place between Venus and Pluto. And so Pluto is in Capricorn, and it's about halfway through, just over halfway through Capricorn, and it's forming this square with Venus. Now, what this is going to indicate is it will shine a light on where you have emotional intensity, or where you actually carry out your emotional drama or your sexual tensions within your relationships. It will show whether you are manipulative in terms of getting someone, you know, the object of your desire, to do what it is that you want. Or is it that you're so focused on the external world that you're not sure of what it is that you truly value? And so with Pluto, and it's a square, Pluto is challenging the status quo. Now, if your status quo is that you always want to be harking back to the past in terms of what it is that you found valuable, means that you're not developing your current arc in this life. And this is where you're going to have a sense of this internal battle that takes place, because it's a square. So there's going to be this sense of internal disruption. What is it that I value? What ground am I standing on? We have Pluto, and Pluto's about regenerating deep down those feelings, those desires, those insecurities, those jealousies, those possessiveness, which show up in your life, and as a result of that, you actually push away what it is that you say that you want to bring into your life. So this Venus retrograde period is going to be a testing one, it's going to be a challenging one that's inviting you to dance in that space whereby you're able to see the beauty that lies within once you start to polish that internal mirror. And which brings me to the quote of the day, and the quote of the day comes from Preston Smiles, and what he said is, slow down to the pace of wisdom. And wisdom is a wonderful quality that can be valued, and if you bear in mind that Venus is about what one values, if you tap into your inner wisdom, it's going to be guiding you, whispering to you, pointing you in the direction that's going to liberate you from the sense of matter and materialism that anchors you truly into who you're meant to be. So the question of the day is, are you driven by financial security versus the desire for deep, abiding love, firstly for yourself and then for the loved ones around you? So, as always, you know I love to connect with you, so put your answers and comments in the comment box below. Feel free to share, like and subscribe to my channel. If you think there's anyone who'd be interested in this episode, feel free to share it with them. You can also upload it to your personal inventory. And also, if you want a personal reading with me in terms of what the retrograde could mean for you, or just in terms of the general transits that are taking place this year and what's going on in your life, then drop me an email at bybreensamuels@googlemail.com so we can set up an appointment. Also, beyond YouTube, if you want to be jamming with me, I'm also there on Instagram and Twitter. So I'm quite active on Instagram. So again, you'll find me under By Breen Samuels because there's only one of me, so I've got quite a unique name. Let's be jamming, let's be sharing, let's be talking about the potential of what this Venus can do for you in terms of your self-love and self-worth. So until then, have a fantastic time over this Venus retrograde over the next 5 weeks or so, and I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode. So until then, bye bye.